Chapter 50 Removal of Ignorance. Baba's discourse on the distinction of knowledge and ignorance, as given to Hemant Pant, is narrated here in this chapter. The Sadguru gives birth to the divine truths. The Sadguru frees us from the cycle of birth and death and the cloud of mercy, the light of knowledge, the giver of the deep and the true knowledge of the Vedas, the best of all the Gurus who pervades all. He is the sun who removes the darkness of this world. The companionship of Sai is the best of all. The senses of ego is crushed by the touch of his hand on one's head and gives way to reverberation of the feelings of I am that. I am that, inundating the entire world with joy. Hemant Pant says, because of Sai's Satcharita Grantha, the knowledgeable learn about spirituality. Those who are interested in humor will be delighted with the wit. This chapter explains how a devotee was graced by Sai while reciting the 34 verses of the Gita. Sai was also reciting that chapter in his heart of heart. Until karma rising from sins are, it is impossible for knowledge to dawn. Ignorance is born due to the doubts that cannot be removed without the Guru. When a doubt enters the mind of a knowledgeable person, even such a person becomes egoistic. Therefore, it is important to understand ignorance at the outset. Once that is removed, the mind gets purified. After that happens, the knowledgeable manifest infinitely, and the mind will attain undisturbed absorption in contemplation. The one who concentrates on riches and fame yet craves for sense enjoyment, things of wife and children, his knowledge is nothing but ignorance. There are 4 necessary antecedents described in Vedanta Shastras. Complete unity of the soul and Brahma is the main subject of Vedanta. The removal of ignorance involved in understanding the principle of this unity happens to be the purpose. Therefore, removing this ignorance from the very roots is itself is the attainment of bliss of self. Until one has removed the feeling of duality, he cannot be called knowledgeable. The knowledge of a person who has bodily pride can be called complete ignorance. When ignorance is removed totally, the knowledge of Brahman will manifest itself. Therefore, it is necessary to explain what is ignorance at the outset. There is nothing purer than knowledge of Brahman in all the 3 worlds. The soul is the root cause of the world. All dissolution is ultimately rooted in existence. Just as the wood burns and ashes remains, it means the wood is not yet destroyed completely. It still exists in the form of ash. In the same way, intelligence too dissolves, but it also exists in the form of Sat. All the holy places and vows are holy and pure, but holier and purer is the knowledge of the Lord. Then, without the knowledge of the Lord, singing bhajans and worship is meaningless. Therefore, know what is ignorance at the outset is. After it is described, and you will derive the lessons therefore from. Only then will the bondage be broken. Devotion is the only means to do that. When devotion is practiced, ignorance is destroyed and knowledge dawns. Knowledge means attaining of self-realization. The destruction of knowledge is the main instrument to achieve it. Unless devotion of God is achieved, the power of Maya is boundless. If one sees that the Lord exists in all living beings, doing the yajna for knowledge, and if the other worships, if one sees Krishna as all pervasive, he burns away ignorance to gain knowledge. Sai Samat is describing the nature of the yajna for knowledge. I am the Brahman. This realization is the pillar of Jnana Yajna, to which the animal that is sacrificed is tied. Earth, water, fire, air and sky, these 5 elements of the universe are the courtyard of the yajna. And the animal that is sacrificed is the belief that there is a difference between living being and the God. 5 senses and the 5 pranas are the requirements for this yajna. In the hollow space of the mind and the intellect kindle of fire of knowledge. The being is the one who performs the yajna, offering oblations of ignorance in the place of clarified butter. It means that without the oblation of ignorance in the place of clarified butter, the fire of the knowledge can never be kindled. By burning these living being and the God manifest the knowledge of unity of consciousness. The words of Lord Krishna and Baba are one. The one whose body falls while meditating upon Omkara Brahman along with remembering my name, he achieves salvation. The desires is the root among the 6 enemies such as anger, desire, etc. Desire, anger and greed are the 3 main entrants to hell. Therefore, they should be avoided with great efforts. Desire and anger also dwell with the knowledgeable. These 2 vices drown one another without there being any water, burn one another without there being any fire, kill one another without there being any weapon. Even the knowledgeable cannot withstand them. Transcending all worldly existence and righteousness, this supreme God is the supreme truth and the nectar sweet eternal self. The air, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence form the subtle body of the soul. Combination of these five elements gives rise to the gross part of the Atma, and its gross body to the soul means the Virat form of the material world. The cause of the origin of the gross and the subtle bodies is the ignorance of the real nature of the self. To be in the state of one's own form is known as moksha, that which has become soiled because of ignorance. That Brahman is given the name of true being. Though originally it was beyond the senses, it was made understandable by word. It was only then that the form entered the mind and assumed the form of Omkar. Om, this one word is the form of Brahman. Blessed indeed is he whose body falls while meditating upon it. Along with the remembrance of God, he achieves salvation. From the word Om, that is Brahman, there appears the unmanifest form. From it is born Mahatattva and ego. Ego originates in the subtle rudiments, further giving rise to the gross elements, and verily this world is born from these five elements. The pristine form, totally pure, and that soil in the Brahman is different from Brahman. Ignorance is natural, knowledge itself is the self luminous, so it is so necessary to preach about it. Where ignorance is destroyed, the exaltation of knowledge will manifest. It is like a gem full of luster that is pressed down with dirt and dust of years together, and then there were layers of soil lying on it. By chance of action and dharma, it comes to hand, and then when it is cleaned, it acquires the pristine luster. The dust on the gem is the ignorance. The ignorance veils the gem of knowledge. After removing the dust, the jewel will shine. Discrimination between the transient and the permanent objects destroys sin and give refinement. It also creates knowledge. This world is a marketplace of Maya. There are many customers ready to take the fake objects, believing them to be real. Therefore, it is necessary to have an assayer with you. The view of wisdom is clear, but it is dimmed by the darkness of the imagination. The darkness flees with Upadesh. What remains then is full of knowledge. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahmam means knowledge is truth and Brahman is eternal. Brahman is the truth, knowledge is the infinite. Maya is all illusion. One who follows the writings of Veda and has a follower of the writings of Vedas and has belief in God, he alone has the right to get the knowledge of Brahman. One who is an atheist for numerous life can never be so qualified. Those who misjudge the world, they cannot see the universe. They see the soul of the universe. People with misconception who misjudge the world can never escape from the cycle of birth and death. For them, the Brahman is extremely difficult to attain, whereas it is very easily attained by those who are qualified and have the right. Om Shri Sai Nathaya Namaha.